Welcome to Cosmic Scene with Jill Jardine. I'm your host, Jill Jardine, Master's in Counseling Psychology, longtime astrologer, healer, and yogi. In today's episode, I'm going to discuss the Wesak Moon, which is the full moon that occurs every year when the sun is transiting the sign Taurus and the moon is full in Scorpio. It is also recognized as the Great Eastern Festival of the Buddha. This year, it occurs on April 26, 2021. This is a very powerful time of the year, considered the most powerful full moon of the year. So stay tuned to hear more. Welcome to the episode on the Wesak Festival, the Great Eastern Festival of the Buddha, which is known as a day of supreme impact. In 2021, this Buddha full moon, the Wesak Moon, falls on April 26, 2021 at 11:32 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. In this episode, I will share information behind the history of the Wesak Moon and what you can do yourself to honor this most auspicious, powerful lunar festival. So this lunar festival, known as Wesak, is not a commemorative celebration, but rather a present living event that occurs each year with the Buddha, the Christ, and the united spiritual hierarchy of ascended masters and other enlightened, liberated beings pouring blessings down to our planet. Wow, that's pretty intense. Now, for those of you who may not know who ascended masters are, we did talk about them in a previous episode with Kathy Burke, but the ascended masters are liberated beings who did walk the planet as humans, but ascended to the heavenly celestial realms to help with the evolution of humanity. So they're there radiating out blessings from the spiritual vibrations. So the Wesak ceremony marks the high point of the spiritual year and serves to vitalize the aspiration of humanity. On this day, the forces of enlightenment, which emanate from the heart of God, flow outward into human consciousness. Wesak is the time of the great outpouring for the planet and her inhabitants. The yearly Wesak Festival at the full moon in Scorpio, with the sun in Taurus, is celebrated in traditional Buddhism as a tribute to the birth, death, and enlightenment of the Buddha. In 2021, the Wesak full moon occurs exactly at 11:32 p.m. EST on April 26th. But it's also important to know that the 2 days before, which will be April 24th and 25th, the day of the full moon itself, April 26th, and the 2 succeeding days, April 27th and 28th, are very powerful times for prayer, meditation, mantras, and conscious intention to raise the vibration of the planet. The Wesak Full Moon Festival was brought to the West in the late 1800s by the Theosophical Society, which was founded primarily by Russian immigrant Helena Blavatsky. Known as Madame Blavatsky, she was famous for writing and teaching by channeling the information from a group of beings in the spirit realm known as the Ascended Masters. Theosophy, which then became the Theosophical Society, was categorized by scholars of religion as both a new religious movement and as part of the occultist stream of Western esotericism. It draws upon both older European philosophies such as Neoplatonism and Asian religions such as Hinduism and Buddhism. And it was brought to the West in the late 1800s and was quite popular during that time and into the 1900s. As presented by Blavatsky, Theosophy teaches that there is an ancient and secretive brotherhood of spiritual adepts known as the Masters, who, although found across the world, are centered in Tibet. These masters are alleged by Blavatsky to have cultivated great wisdom and supernatural powers. Theosophists believe that it was they who initiated the modern theosophical movement through disseminating their teachings via Helena Blavatsky. They believe that these masters, also known as the Ascended Masters, are attempting to revive knowledge of an ancient religion once found across the world and which will again come to eclipse the existing world religions. Theosophy teaches that the purpose of human life is spiritual emancipation and claims that the human soul undergoes reincarnation upon bodily death according to a process of karma. Theosophy promotes values of universal brotherhood and social improvement. Alice Bailey was another esotericist and writer in the early 20th century who wrote 24 books, known as the Blue Books because they're all blue, on esoteric subjects and theosophical subjects. Alice Bailey was one of the first writers to use the term New Age, and we're talking over 100 years ago, and now it's quite prominent. Bailey's works, written between 1919 and 1949, describe a wide-ranging system of esoteric thought covering such topics as how spirituality relates to the solar system. We like that one as astrologers. Also, meditation, healing, spiritual psychology, the destiny of nations, and prescriptions for society in general. She described the majority of her work as having been telepathically dictated to her by a master of wisdom, initially referred to only as the Tibetan or by the initials DK, later identified as Djwal Khul. That's DJWAL KHUL, Djwal Khul, who was purported a Tibetan ascended master. Alice Bailey's writings bore some similarity to those of Madame Blavatsky and are among the teachings often referred to as the ageless wisdom. Though Bailey's writings are different and differ in some respects to the theosophy of Madame Blavatsky, they have much in common with it. Bailey wrote on religious themes, including Christianity, through her writings, though her writings are fundamentally different from many aspects of Christianity or other Orthodox religions. Her vision of a unified society included a global, quote, spirit of religion, end quote, different from the traditional religious forms and including the concept of the, drum roll please, Age of Aquarius. Teachings of the Theosophist and Alice Bailey suggested that as we merge into the Aquarian age, we will see a revival of celebrating the full moon every month and having full moon ceremonies, especially at the 3 full moons which occur during the first 3 zodiacal signs of Aries, Taurus, and Gemini. And these full moons during the Aries, Taurus, and Gemini equinoxes are considered lunar festivals in theosophical tradition. The first of these lunar festivals is the Easter Festival, marked after the first Sunday after the full moon in Libra when the sun is in Aries. So Easter doesn't occur on the full moon unless it happens to be happening on a Sunday, but generally it occurs on the first Sunday after the full moon in Aries, which would be a Libra full moon. The Wesak Festival is when the moon is full in Scorpio while the sun is transiting Taurus, and the Festival of Goodwill, the 3rd lunar festival, is celebrated when the full moon is in Sagittarius and the sun is transiting the sign Gemini. Esoterically, the full moon near Easter is known as the Festival of the Risen Living Christ, and the keynote is the principle of resurrection into greater life. As with all enlightened and liberated beings, the personality's subjective crucifixion and death leads to the renewal of consciousness and a life of spiritual purpose and expression. And thus, we have the esoteric meaning of the Easter Festival. Then comes the Wesak Full Moon when the sun transits Taurus and the moon is full in Scorpio. And as I said, in 2021, it will occur on April 26th at 11:32 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. According to the Lucis Trust, which published many of Alice Bailey's books, quote, humanity's cooperative effort to invoke the energies of light and love can be given a tremendous impetus by working together in meditative and invocative prayers at the time of the Wesak Festival. The Wesak Festival is really a 5-day period at the time of the full moon. The 2 days preceding the full moon, the day of the full moon itself, and the 2 days coming after the full moon, called the days of dispensation. The exact hour of the full moon itself is of tremendous importance because at that moment, the sun and earth stand in unimpeded alignment. At this time, it is as if a door stands open between the spiritual hierarchy and humanity, which can make possible great expansions in consciousness, expansions which are not possible at other times of year, end quote. In her book, Externalization of the Hierarchy, Alice Bailey writes, quote, at the time of the Wesak Festival, I would call your attention to the fact that the annual return of the Buddha to bless his people everywhere and to convey the message of wisdom, light, and love to humanity, coming as he does from the very heart of deity itself, is the outer evidence and guarantee that inner divine guidance and revelation in this present world cycle of 2,500 year by year, returns. He returns, the deity, the divine. For a brief minute, he reminds us that God exists and ever loves, that he is not unmindful of his people, that the heart of the universe is unalterable compassion, and that humanity is not alone, end quote. Another authority on the Wesak Festival, my Sanskrit mantra teacher, Thomas Ashley Farran, Namadeva Acharya, describes the Wesak Festival, the ceremony, as such, quote, in a secret valley in the Himalayas, the Christ presides over a ceremony in which a large crystal bowl is filled with water, awaiting the coming of the Buddha at the exact moment of the full moon. When that blessed moment arrives, the Buddha appears in a brilliant golden globe of light, hovering over the assembled masses of saints, sages, and spiritual teachers in and out of body from all world's religious traditions. The Christ chants a secret mantra over the bowl of water, which serves as a signal for the Buddha to disperse the great outpouring of spiritual energy and light which everyone receives. Finally, the spiritually charged water from the bowl is distributed to all who have gathered, consummating the purpose of the gathering. The assembled teachers and healers then return to the places from which they had come to continue their work fully charged, end quote. So now you might be asking, what can I do personally to celebrate the Wesak full moon? Remember, it occurs exactly on April 26, 2021 at 11:32 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So it's going to be a big full moon very late as we encroach at the midnight hour and going forward into early in the morning on the 27th. So, doing any spiritual practice at the precise time of the full moon is especially auspicious. But remember, the 2 days leading up, April 24th and 25th, are building power. The exact day of April 26th and the 2 days after, on April 27th and 28th, all have strong spiritual juice. So make the most of this by doing prayers, mantras, meditations, and invocations. Here are some suggestions of what you can do to align with the Wesak Moon. There is a prayer that comes from Alice Bailey's writings called the Great Invocation. It is very powerful when said at the Wesak full moon. Sit back now and hear the words of the Great Invocation, which will be posted in the show notes. So this is a very, very good practice to do at the Wesak Full Moon, the whole 5-day time period that encompasses the energy. The great invocation. From the point of light within the mind of God, let light stream forth into the minds of men. Let light descend on earth. From the point of love within the heart of God, let love stream forth into the hearts of men. May Christ return to earth. From the center where the will of God is known, let purpose guide the little wills of men, the purpose which the masters know and serve. From the center which we call the race of men, let the plan of love and light work out, and may it seal the door where evil dwells. Let light and love and power restore the plan on earth. The great invocation in its original form. It has been updated to use words such as humanity, but I took the original great invocation as channeled through Alice Bailey. So I do suggest that you say that prayer and any other prayers that are important to you. You can also meditate, set intentions, which is called sankalpa in Sanskrit, during the Wesak Moon. So it's a very, very powerful time. Do yoga, any spiritual practices, walk the beach, walk in nature. It's always going to be enhanced at this time. Or you can do my favorite thing, and that is to chant Sanskrit mantras. So here are a few suggested by my teacher, Namadeva Acharya. The first one is a Tibetan one. It is to Vajrapani, who is the protector of Dharma and great initiator. Very simple 3-word mantra. Hung Vajra Pe. So Hung, which is the Tibetan pronunciation, Vajra, which is actually a weapon mantra, Vajra Pe. So let's chant Hung Vajra Pe 9 times. Hung Vajra Pe, 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 Hung Vajra Pe. Another mantra that is very auspicious to do at the Wesak full moon and any full moon is called the Kala Chakra mantra, which the Dalai Lama says if we all chant it, we will clear not only personal karma, but planetary karma and hasten personal and planetary evolution. So let's all chant that Kala Chakra mantra. Kala Chakra means the spirit of the wheel of time and invokes the Tibetan Shiva. It is comprised of all seed mantras, so it is very powerful. Some have purported to travel to different times and different dimensions while chanting this mantra. And the Kala Chakra mantra sounds like this. Om Haksa Malavarayam Swaha. Let's chant it together 9 times. Om Haksa Malavarayam Swaha. 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 Another auspicious Sanskrit mantra to chant at the time of the full moon, specifically the Wesak full moon, is the Shiva mantra, Om Namah Shivaya. Shiva is the great spiritualizing principle of consciousness. Please chant Om Namah Shivaya with me 9 times. Om Namah Shivaya, 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 Om Namah Shivaya. Another good mantra to chant at the Wesak Moon is to Avalokiteshvara, the great being of compassion, who has put off final liberation until all sentient beings have achieved enlightenment. The mantra at its surface level is, the jewel of consciousness is in the heart's lotus. Om Mani Padme Hum. I shared this mantra in a previous podcast entitled Moksha Mantras, Sanskrit Mantras for Liberation. So go back and review that podcast for more information on Om Mani Padme Hum, the great Mani mantra. The jewel of consciousness is in the heart's lotus, is the translation. Om Mani Padme Hum 9 times. Om Mani Padme Hum, 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 Om Mani Padme Hum. I hope you enjoyed this episode on the Wesak Moon. We're releasing it in plenty of time so that you can celebrate this lunar festival yourself. This is Cosmic Scene with Jill Jardine signing out, sending you healing lunar vibrations through the quantum field.